The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has called on Nigerians to adopt voluntary tax compliance as a civic duty vital for national development, stressing that taxes fund critical infrastructure such as roads, hospitals, and schools, forming the backbone of national growth. Ejura Etu Okpanachi has the reports.
Speaking at a one-day sensitization program in Kaduna titled The Role of Media in Voluntary Tax Compliance, FIRS Executive Chairman Dr. Zach Adedeji, represented by the Technical Assistant on Broadcast Media Arabirin Adirunke Atoyebi, stressed that taxes fund critical infrastructure such as roads, hospitals, and schools, forming the backbone of national growth. Adedeji noted that while many citizens still view taxation as a burden, public enlightenment and trust in government accountability are key to changing that perception.
By being here today, you have shown your commitment to building a Nigeria where responsibility and accountability go hand in hand. And we all know that taxation is necessary. And there's been a lot of talks about tax and all that. And there's a whole lot of misinformation going around. People just want to cause mischief. When the acts are there, you can just pick it up. It's online. You can read and educate yourself. You know, without taxes, no country can grow effectively. Taxes are what make it possible for hospitals to provide care, for our roads to be prepared, to be repaired, and for social services to reach those who need them the most. They are not just collected as government revenue. They are the foundation of growth in our nation.
He urged journalists to champion tax education, investigate issues, and hold leaders accountable, saying that transparency in government strengthens citizens' willingness to comply.
Beyond the enforcement and penalty, what we need is a culture of voluntary compliance. We are very keen, especially this administration, Dr. Zach Adedeji-led administration, is very keen about voluntary compliance of tax, in tax, where citizens willingly fulfill their civic duty because they understand the benefits and believe that contributions will be used for the common good.
Other speakers, including Dr. Mohammed Adamu and Ishaku Ankuma, emphasized that voluntary tax compliance reduces enforcement costs, promotes investor confidence, and fosters patriotism. They highlighted FIRS reforms such as Tax Promax platform, Taxpayer Service Unit, and youth-oriented programs like Catch Them Young as a vital tool for promoting a culture of responsible tax behaviors across Nigeria.
The executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Dr. Zach Adedeji, has defended government borrowing, describing it as a vital component of every nation's budget and a key driver of sustainable economic growth, stressing that when done prudently, it forms part of the economic ecosystem that sustains development and prosperity. Hussein Ibrahim reports.
Speaking on the structure of government budgets, Dr. Adedeji explained that every fiscal plan is built around three key pillars: expenditure, revenue, and borrowing. He stressed that borrowing should not be seen as negative, as it supports the financial system, helps banks operate efficiently, and contributes indirectly to government revenue through taxation.
What is the component of a budget of a country? So you have your expenditure, you have your revenue, and you have loan in all budgets. So if my expenditure for this year is 100,000 and my plan is that 80 will be from my revenue and I will borrow 20, and I've done revenue of 90 and I'm borrowing according to what I have in my budget of borrowing 10. So what is the problem in that?
Dr. Adedeji further highlighted that borrowing often funds infrastructure projects with long-term benefits, such as roads and public facilities that serve future generations. He explained that the revenue borrowing allows government to invest now and avoid higher costs later. The FIRS boss maintained that no serious nation can grow without strategic borrowing, emphasizing that when done prudently, it forms part of the economic ecosystem that sustains development and prosperity.
Anybody, anywhere, is that you go for sustainable. And that is why you see what Mr. President or Minister of Finance, have you ever had Minister of Finance say that he's borrowing to pay salary or to do anything? And why do you do it? I'll give you a typical example. Look at this structure that we are in. Imagine that it has not been built the year it was built. How much will it cost today? So you borrow in order to beat their cost in the future. That's one. Secondly, you borrow because of what we call matching concept in business, most especially when you have continuity. Anything that I will use that will go beyond my lifetime, why do I need to use my own time to do it? So when you borrow to do road and you collect taxes in the future for everybody that is using that road to pay their own fair share. So when you see we borrow, it is part of economic plan. And you, any company or any country that will grow has to borrow because it is part of the ecosystem of a viable nation.
Meanwhile, the Federal Inland Revenue Service has taken a new step in engaging the digital community as it trains social media influencers on Nigeria's new tax laws. The one-day workshop held in Abuja is part of the service's drive to make the country's new tax regime more transparent, inclusive, and development-focused. Aisha Abdulkadir has the reports.
Speaking at the event, the technical assistant broadcast media to the executive chairman, Arabiri Adewinke, called on influencers to help shape positive narratives about the new tax laws. She said the laws are designed to boost the economy and urged participants to simplify tax information so that every Nigerian can understand and relate to it.
I warmly welcome you once again to this important training session on the new Tax Act, a law that will not only affect you, your businesses, and personal finances positively, it will also reshape how content creators and digital entrepreneurs like us, I'm one of you, to engage with formal system like taxation.
The special advisor to the executive chairman on tax policy, Mr. Olarinde Olufemi, explained that the reforms are meant to harmonize all tax laws, drive efficiency, promote transparency, and align Nigeria's system with global standards. He added that the new laws will strengthen fiscal policy and promote sustainable economic growth.
There's a presumptive tax system that allows the state now prepare a form of schedule to categorize businesses and tax them minimally according to their level. So that's another way government is bringing them into the tax net.
Also speaking, Mr. Amwole Ibrahim, head of the Reform Coordinating Unit, highlighted key improvements under the new regime. For instance, he noted that income earned by a non-resident will only be taxed if the employment is carried out in Nigeria. Participants described the training as insightful and promised to use their platforms to promote public awareness about the new tax laws.
And that wraps up the news. Let's join Mariam on the Vox Pop segment.
Hello and welcome to the segment. As always, I am excited to welcome you. My name is Mariam Julde Adura, and today we're in the Central Business District of Abuja to find out what kind of taxes people who run individual or personal businesses are expected to pay. Come. For individuals who run one-man businesses, like it's just their personal businesses, what kind of taxes are they expected to pay?
Okay, I think for individuals that have one-man business, they have the obligation to file their tax return and pay what is called personal income tax, and maybe in some instances, value-added tax and withholding tax to the relevant tax authorities. Yes.
All right. Who do they pay to? FIRS or the state inland?
Yeah, I think for individuals, I think they pay to state inland revenue services in their various states of abode.
Well, I think for an individual, they have to pay the personal income tax. They have to pay VAT if they meet the threshold. And there's a business premises levy they pay annually too for operating in the state. Yes.
Okay. So what's the threshold?
It's currently 25 million, but by January 1st of next year, it's going to be from 50 million and above.
If I run a one-man business, it's just me running my company, what kind of tax am I expected to pay?
Tax. Madam, when these tax people come, they say we have to pay personal income tax. And sometimes they say if your figures are high, you are supposed to pay VAT too.
You run a one-man business?
Yes.
That's what kind of business?
I have a shop, building material. Yes.
And it's what? Is it a limited liability company or a business name?
A business name.
As someone who operates a personal business, do I have tax obligations? And what are my tax obligations, if yes?
Yes, indeed, you have tax obligations, and then you should pay tax. One of those tax obligations are I think, personal income tax. You're supposed to pay that, and then go to your, state board to file that. I think here in Abuja, it's supposed to be FCT IRS. So you go, you file, and then you pay. That is PITN, which is personal income tax. Similarly, in addition, part of other obligations are the VAT, that's value added tax. So you should pay that as well at the end of every month, I believe. So yes, you do have obligations to pay tax, and these are part of the obligations to pay tax.
I've been an accountant by profession. I run my own activities as a one-man business. But I know that I have a specific duty of payment of my tax. From my understanding, the major one I can remember is personal income tax, whereby I go to the revenue service of my state. I'm in Abuja here, so I meet them and then go there to do my assessment. And actually, I've been doing that because I know it is my duty to my country.
Someone who operates a personal business, do I have tax obligations, and what are the tax obligations that I have?
For someone with a small business, it will be personal tax, personal income tax, or VAT, which is 7.5%. It depends on how much they are making. And I think it's paid into the Internal Revenue Service of the state.
Not the FIRS?
Not the FIRS, the Internal Revenue Service of the state, yes.
Did you know if you register a business name, you pay personal income tax? And if you register a limited liability company, you pay company income tax? For more information, please visit www.firs.gov.ng.
Ashu Abe takes us on the Knowledge Zone.
Hello and welcome to Knowledge Zone, where we dive deeper into the interesting conversations had on the streets. I remain your host, Ashu Abe. Today's question is, if you run a one-man business, do you pay personal income tax or do you pay company income tax? This question may seem tricky, but it is really straightforward. If you registered as an enterprise business name, you pay personal income tax. If you register as a limited liability company, you pay company income tax. For more clarity, if you operate as you alone, not incorporated as a limited liability company, for example, you registered a business name under your personal name, or you simply trade as a sole proprietor, then you are under the PIT regime. All your business profits is your personal income. If you instead incorporate a company, for instance, you register with the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, as a limited liability company, then the company is a separate legal entity, and the profits of the company are subject to company income tax.
And now to our Professional Insight segment.
My role involves ensuring close alignment between FIRS's policies and the current legal framework. This means continuously reviewing operational guidelines to reflect new tax laws, court rulings, and government directives. I work closely with the Legal Advisory and Litigation Department to interpret legislative changes accurately and update our internal procedures accordingly. The goal is to maintain compliance, reduce disputes, and ensure that our enforcement activities are fair, transparent, and legally sound. That's a really nice area, and I've heard so many commentaries on that. But I can lend my voice to this matter because I'm familiar with it to a large extent. The surcharge refers to a 5% levy on certain fossil fuels like petrol and diesel. The essence of this levy is to fund road infrastructure and maintenance. The charge is not a brand new tax, but rather a restatement or, as you like it, a harmonization of an existing charge under the Federal Road Maintenance Agency Act, FEMA 2007. The surcharge is contained in the recently signed Nigerian Tax Act 2025. The surcharge does not come into effect until the Minister of Finance gives a directive with the written approval of the President. This means it does not come into effect now or anytime soon. For the taxation of commercial sex workers, that's a very hilarious topic, and I laughed about it too with some of my colleagues. However, it can be classified as a stream of income under the Criminal Code Act, which is largely applicable in the southern Nigeria. Prostitution is not a crime in itself. Unlike the Penal Code that categorically criminalizes it, therefore, under the Criminal Code Act, it may not be termed proceeds of crime. But I believe the reason people find this amusing is because of the moral optics of the profession. However, this should not infer that proceeds of crime, even if subject to taxation, cures the legality of the action or transaction. In fact, payment of tax proceeds of crime will tip off government agencies of the likelihood of the nature of the transaction. I believe, having said that, we have trashed out the issue of taxing sex workers and the humor that goes on with it. With respect to tax IDs, I don't think Nigerians should lose sleep with that. For companies, you have your RSC number that serves as an identification for you. For individuals, you have your national identity number that serves as your identity as well. And your tax identification numbers, the TIN, still remains valid. So all of these can help the tax authorities to easily track and know what type of transactions, activities are subject to tax obligations. When we talk about enforcement in any crime, more likely than not, it means that an opportunity for voluntary compliance has been given, but was either neglected or ignored. The executive chairman, Dr. Zak Adedeji, has made it very clear that he wants to lead a customer-centric service where the taxpayers are put first and are treated at all times with the dignity that they deserve. Both the extant laws and the laws that will take effect from next year, 2026, stipulate the process for voluntary compliance, such as filing of annual returns, payment of taxes as and when due, and even the opportunity to raise an objection to a revised assessment. Even when all opportunities for voluntary compliance are exhausted, many taxpayers will attest to the fact that FIRS has always tried to assist taxpayers within the boundaries of the law on how to meet up their tax obligations. For example, taxpayers could be given an option of payment plan in a few instances to offset their tax liability. In practice, we have tried to make severe enforcement tools like criminal prosecution and civil litigation a course of last resort to encourage willful participation and give the tax authority a more human-like character. So far, this has proved effective, and we continue to have faith in our taxpayers that their cooperation will be unwavering. From my perspective, the strength of a nation's tax laws, coupled with consistent judicial support, serves as a critical pillar of both economic growth and the cultivation of public trust. I must commend the remarkable work of the Taiwo Oyedele-led Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Their efforts have produced a comprehensive reform framework that not only modernizes our tax regime, but also enhances its clarity, coherence, and fairness. Equally, the judiciary deserves recognition for its steadfast commitment to interpreting tax legislations with precision and integrity. By striking a careful balance between protective taxpayer rights and safeguarding the statutory mandate of revenue collection, the courts help maintain an environment where fairness is not perceived as optional, but as fundamental. This delicate equilibrium, though complex, is what gives investors and citizens alike the confidence that the system is not arbitrary, but principled. Ultimately, how a country structures and enforces its tax regime directly influences investor decisions and overall economic confidence. When taxpayers perceive clarity, fairness, and predictability in tax administration, compliance is encouraged, disputes are reduced, and public trust is strengthened. I'm confident that Nigeria's new tax laws, reinforced by judicial oversight, are already advancing this vital alignment between fiscal responsibility and economic growth.
Over to Swateku for What's on the Net.
Good day and welcome to What's on the Net. My name is Joyce Swateku. At Brown is asking, please, how do I update my name? At Brown, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has announced that taxpayers seeking a name update must visit the relevant tax office with evidence of change of name from the Corporate Affairs Commission. An update form will then be issued for completion. At Nnamdi James is asking, I'm sincerely worried with an information that Nigerians must obtain a separate TIN before they can do a bank transaction. I'm of the opinion that BVN and NIN should serve or create an alternative that would save Nigerians the stress of queuing in banks for a TIN. At Nnamdi, Nigerians do not need to obtain a separate tax identification number at banks. The TIN is automatically generated and linked to existing identification systems such as the Bank Verification Number, BVN, and National Identification Number, NIN. FIRS says the integration is designed to reduce stress for taxpayers and simplify access to financial and tax-related services. Over to you, Laurie.
And that wraps up another episode of Tax File. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully, you're walking away with a few more answers and a better grip on the tax world around you. But we are not done yet. Keep the conversation going by connecting with us on social media. Share your views, drop your questions, or just let us know what you'd like to hear next. Until we meet again, I am Laurie Bala Hassan. Stay smart, stay compliant, and keep tuning in to Tax File. FIRS, simplifying tax, maximizing revenue.
Saƙa sana'a ce tun kaka da kakanni, fasahar saƙar tabarma.
Mun taso tun daga kakannin mun ga suna yin saƙa, kuma mu uwayenmu sun koya mana yin saƙa, saboda mu saƙa